Hey there, I'm Jayma, and over the past few years, I've become very interested in onomatology, the study of names. I've never really liked my name until I researched the meaning of it. My name means paradigm shifter, and I'd like to shift your paradigm by shining a light on onomatology and how it can potentially help you find your purpose, help you communicate better with others, or even both. In each episode, I ask someone 8 basic questions regarding their first name. So sit back, relax, and try to shift your paradigm with this next episode. All right, so on today's episode, I'm excited to interview this person, especially because I have a friend who has the same name. So I'm excited to explore it. I don't really know this person all that well. I know that we do work for the same company. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm really glad you're here. And if you could just give the listeners just a little bit of information about where you're podcasting from and just a little bit about yourself.
Sure, sure. So my name is Rebecca Starr. I am in the northern suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. I am a proud HR consultant slash career strategist. Really excited to help clients in the changing work world and newer to One Digital, but not newer to the industry, and just really enjoying getting to know folks like you at One Digital and building my network through some wonderful, wonderful colleagues here at our organization. So thanks for having me again.
Yeah, awesome. So glad you're a part of it. And it's exciting for me because I like to help people get to know the meaning of their
Yeah.
name better, which leads me to my first question, which is without me like telling you or before I brought up my podcast to you, did you know the meaning of your name?
I did not. I did
Okay.
not know the meaning of my name. Um, I and I know we'll talk about this in a second here. I knew why my mom had chose the name, but I didn't know what it meant. So you encouraged me to do that, and very I was very pleased to hear the meaning because it really, really fit with me.
Good. That's awesome. What'd you find? And then I'll tell
Okay.
you what I have.
Yeah, so I found um, terms like connector, fit, binder, somebody who brings folks together. And I think I've always done that in my personal and my professional life. So I didn't know that that was such a fitting name for me, but it is. What did you find? Is that what you found?
Yeah, very, very similar. Yes,
Okay.
spot on. I found a little bit more. I do a little bit more digging
You're
for
better
you.
research than just my Google. Okay.
Yeah, so it comes from Hebrew origins, which is the same as my name. It's Hebrew, which is cool.
Mm.
And yeah, the meaning, there's a few different meanings. So one is to tie or bind, or snare. It says sometimes it's interpreted as captivating beauty or ensnaring. And it is also used as a biblical name in the Old Testament, representing the wife of Isaac, the mother of Jacob and Esau. Huge,
Uh-huh.
huge person in that book. It also signifies strength, tradition, and charisma.
Ooh, I'll do
Yeah, those
that.
are really great. And then I do a step further. I like to peel the onion and look up what is the symbolism of like the main word that I found in that meaning. So I looked up what is the symbolism of the word bind. And that means restriction, connection, acting as a powerful metaphor for both limiting constraints and secure lasting commitments. It
Wow.
represents authority to prohibit or permit obligation, emotional ties, and spiritual discipline. So, after I say all this, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, I think the strength and the charisma and the beauty how could you not like those terms? That feels really great.
Yeah.
And still, yeah, I as I had looked up the meaning to be the connection, or I didn't go as far as like limiting constraints, but um, I think that is very fitting. I'm in a client development role, and I like to connect with clients and help them and support them with their HR initiatives and, limit the restraints that they might have of, time and budget and all those things. So, yeah, somehow I did pretty good. I think that feels really good for Rebecca. I really like that.
That's awesome. And I'm sorry, I didn't ask you in the beginning. You do go by Rebecca, correct?
I do. I do. I have a couple nicknames that may be
Okay.
a question that you'll come up with here in a bit I
Okay.
can reference. But yes, in my professional career, I really like to use Rebecca. I think it sounds bold and professional and yeah, has a kind of a strong name to it. So I like Rebecca.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you are, yeah, just the second Rebecca that I've ever met before in my life. So maybe I'm
Oh.
hoping that I'm remembering this correctly.
I think Rebecca, I'm in my 40s. I think Rebecca was a really popular name or kind of popular name when I was born. So I
hmm
know a couple of Rebeccas. It's yeah, I think a somewhat popular name.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, and do you know how your parents chose your first name?
So I know this, but I didn't really research um, the program, I guess. But it is my mother said that she watched I think it's a TV show, Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm. So that's where she heard the name. I
Okay.
probably should have, before being interviewed on a podcast about my name, looked into it a little more. I don't know if it's a good, um, a good program, but yeah, I think she had just shared she heard that name and liked it, and then I'm the oldest daughter, so she had always like saved that as her name um, for her firstborn. So yeah,
Okay.
that's where it comes from.
Okay. Great. And thinking back, growing up, did the thought ever cross your mind, I wish I had a different name?
No, I don't. I really don't think so. But when um, I thought about that question, I have two kiddos. Connor is 8 years old, and Grant is 6 years old. And Connor, I spell his name Conor, and he has asked me to respell his name to include two N's, and I told him he can do that when he's 18. And then my youngest son, for I have no idea, but decided that he wants to go by George. So I guess my mom did a better job of naming me than I have of my kiddos. Because I really don't ever remember thinking, oh, this isn't a good name or this isn't a fitting name for me.
Yeah.
However, my little boys, I guess, are more particular.
Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah, all good.
Okay. I love that. I actually, I've interviewed over 100 people over the last year and a half that I've been doing this.
Wow.
And a lot of females tend to say that they have had that thought, and a lot of men do not
Oh,
have that thought. They're
how
very solid in that.
interesting.
Yeah. So I love that you're solid in that. That's so great.
Oh, I think that could be some very interesting data.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, oh, that could go in a lot of different ways. I'll have to think on that. That's really cool.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what is it about us like as individuals that we're content with that or not content with that or yeah, that could be very fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I do think like the meaning of your name is very strong and very it's solid and it's a positive, solid meaning. So it's good that
Yes,
you can kind of tap into
own
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Totally. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay. And but if you were forced to
Yeah.
change your first name, what name would you choose and why?
That is I think a great question. And I struggled with it probably because I liked my name.
Mm,
I guess going after or going on how my youngest son wanted to be named George, my maternal grandmother was Georgette, and I thought that's a
mm,
really pretty name,
cool.
and went by Georgie, and I thought that's also a cute nickname for Georgette. And then, thinking about these questions, my supposedly my dad had wanted to name me Kelly. And so I like that name too. I feel like I could probably be a Kelly. So I don't know really that answer, but I love the question. And I don't know, Georgie kind of sticks out, maybe Kelly. Or the other thing I sometimes hear too is Rebecca is transferable for some folks with Rachel. Like I get that mixed up a lot. And
Oh,
so I
yeah.
think Rachel's less a pretty and kind of sounds like Rebecca. So maybe I could go into that area. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it is a hard question for sure because you have lived with your
Yes.
name your whole life. So,
Yeah. Can I ask you what would be your name change?
yeah, you can. My name, if I could change it, would be Audrey because I love Audrey Hepburn.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Okay. I love
She's
it.
my
I love it.
favorite.
Audrey's
Yeah.
a great strong name too, I think. Love it.
Yeah, definitely. And I love the meaning too because it means noble strength and I love everything about it. So,
Oh, very cool. Well,
yeah.
as someone who is so into this and I know I listened to a former podcast that you're like researched and very strong into this. Of course, you're going to have a great answer to that. So maybe I'll steal your answer. I would go
Yeah.
with Audrey too. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
All good. Okay, great. And I'm just curious, has your first name ever been mispronounced?
I don't think so. I really don't. I think it's a common enough name in the US here. And I haven't had a lot of travel abroad opportunities, so I haven't had my name mispronounced. Misspelled or, different
Mhm.
spellings. Sometimes a K gets in there instead of two C's or an H, which I believe is more of the biblical spelling. But yeah,
Mhm.
I don't think mispronounced, but it's a good question. I imagine your name probably has been mispronounced.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, but I'm good with yeah. Really can't think of a time that Rebecca was mispronounced.
Yeah. Do people tend to try to call you Becca or Becky?
Yeah, so it's funny. I growing up, I used the nickname Becky. So I still have family and cousins and old friends that still call me Becky. When I was in high school, I just chose to spell it Becky with an I because I thought I was very cool. And then I went to college and wanted to be Rebecca because I liked Rebecca, and that was a new time for me to introduce myself to lots of new friends. And then somehow it just got shortened to Becca. So some folks call me Becca, and I know that there are probably folks that I've met in my friendly times since college. My husband's always called me Bex, and so that kind of sticks around my family. And then my husband has always referred to me just as B. I think it's in a nice way, but a term of
Mhm.
endearment maybe. But yeah, so B is stuck. So kind of depending on what nickname I might hear, I know how I might know you in the world. But
Yeah.
I prefer Rebecca most of the time.
Okay. And just curious, if somebody were to misspell your name in an email and like take the two C's and make it a K, like how would that make you feel?
I think I don't know that it bothers or would bother me. I think so many of us are moving so quickly, and I think very commonly, even though I tend to introduce myself as Rebecca, folks will turn it to Becky or Becca, and I'm like, oh, okay, they must know another Becky or they must know another Becca. So
Hmm.
um, I guess it doesn't really bother me that much. Yeah,
Okay.
great question.
Yeah. All right. And so second to last question.
Okay, okay.
Just curious, I know you haven't really sat with the meaning of your name for that long, but now that you do know it, and I know that you talked about it a little bit at the beginning of this conversation. Would love to talk a little bit more. In terms of, do you think that the meaning of your name has any relevance on the way that you act or the way that you see the world around you? And if so, how?
I think yeah, I would say I looked up the meaning of my name within the last 2 weeks, and then certainly you expanded on it here today. Um, so I found it fitting for who I am. And I guess find it relevant and true. I don't know if it would, now knowing a little bit more, if it would change, but maybe just, a continuation of who I am as a connector. I was thinking about when you asked that question, my husband's always, um, I'm doing air quotes, but yelling at me because we'll meet new people and someone will be maybe single and I'm like, oh, I know somebody, let me introduce you to them. Or I love being the person in my neighborhood that, needs a new, insert vendor name. And I'm like, oh, I know somebody, let me introduce you to them. So I feel like I've been a connector, a tire, a bring folks together kind of person. Um, always, I guess, irregardless of me even knowing that was my name.
Yeah,
What a great
that's
question.
powerful.
These are
Oh.
insightful. This has really been fun to talk about this.
Very good. I love it. I love that you're like open to
Yes,
it.
yes. I think we should be. I'm gonna have to look up my kiddos' names now too. This is
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, I have one more question for you.
Okay.
So, when I first started my podcast a year and a half ago, I was wanting to know what famous books were saying about names and the importance of names. And I Googled what is the best-selling book of all time. Happens to be the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was really interesting. I tried to do a lot of research on like were names changed in the Bible and like what does the Bible say about names and I came across a lot of people who, where it specifically mentions that God, like, for example, in Genesis, he told this guy named Abram, hey, your name is going to change to Abraham, and you're going to change your wife's name from Sarai to Sarah. And then there were a couple other people in the Bible who they actually went upon themselves to change their names, and it was mentioned. So I'm just curious, like, what is your opinion about what do you think the significance is of that even being mentioned?
Mm. I think, um, as a HR professional for the past 20 years and having a chance to meet with so many different um, individuals, and in HR we often talk a lot about finding the right fit, if that's a fit for their um, job, fit for their personality, fit for their strengths. And I think if personally didn't think your name fit with you, I think it makes sense that maybe you should explore that. I think there's maybe something to who makes that decision that your name's going to change. And if like I mentioned before with my kiddos, if either of them really did feel very passionate about wanting to change their name, I would be very supportive of that. So I think it's a really really good question. Like, as you ask that, I think, how tied are you to your name? Um,
Hmm.
and maybe, through this conversation, I've been really thinking, you know, how fitting my name is, and I like my name. And so I don't know that I would like someone changing my name. But if someone else didn't have the positivity attached to their name or their meaning, I would, yeah, I would encourage them to think about it. And maybe it's not even an official name change, but maybe and I think I know of folks that go by their middle name or a nickname that they like better, or um, a full name change. So yeah, so I think it's a really important question. And um, yeah, what are your thoughts on name changing? And yeah, I would love your perspective on that, it being somebody that knows so much about this.
Yeah, well, I love your perspective and your opinion on this. I agree with it. I think that a lot of what, in terms of like just focusing on the example that I brought up, I think it's tied to identity
Mm-hmm.
because if you look up the meanings of Abram versus Abraham and Sarai versus Sarah, it's all about going from something that's more simplicity in the meaning to a broader journey and goal in their life, on their next path, in their next chapter. And I think that the whole purpose is to kind of like symbolize that new identity.
Yeah,
And
interesting. Okay.
yeah, that's why I was like so interested in it because it really is if it's important enough to be mentioned in the best-selling book of all time, I think there's something there. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's some kind of power there, but I don't know myself. I'm still learning, and I think the whole journey of my podcast is to keep learning and seeing if my
Sure.
theories are true. So,
Yeah, I love it. And just as you said that too, I thought about like the names that we give ourselves as like, um, there's is there something different to being a client executive versus being in business development or versus being a consultant or the power of being called a mother and I'm a mom and that's like really important to me. So I think just as you said that not only maybe just your name but also the titles that we give ourselves are so important.
yes, 100%. I totally agree. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah. Oh, this has been really fun. I didn't quite
Yeah.
know what to expect talking about my name, but I'm so glad you reached out to me.
I am too. Yeah, those were all my questions. Did you have any questions for me at all?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm glad I got to ask a couple as we went through, but
Yeah.
this is really great. I've listened to a couple of your other ones, other names, so I'm really looking forward to continuing to see your journey and listening into
Thank
some
you.
more. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to subscribe or follow the podcast on your favorite platform. Your support helps me continue bringing you meaningful conversations with remarkable guests. Don't forget to tune in next time for more insightful discussions and inspiring stories. Until then, thank you for listening and keep striving to make a positive impact wherever you are. And don't forget to tap into the meaning of your own name to find a deeper sense of confidence in your purpose.